Hi everyone, my name is Jacqueline. I am the Education Program Director here at the Ojai Raptor Center. And this Giving Tuesday, we are focusing on wings and wing injuries, which is something that we commonly see here at the Raptor Center. I know Dr. Stephanie Lewis went over wing anatomy. I'm going to be going over briefly wing adaptations, specifically common wing shapes in raptors. So we can learn a lot about a bird just by looking at the shape of its wing, namely how it flies, just like you can know what a bird eats generally by looking at the shape of its beak. Knowing what silhouettes and shapes belong to what kinds of birds can also help us in the field when we don't see ID marks that we want to see to be able to identify them. While there are more birds than just raptors that have each of these wing shapes, and there are more wing shapes than these, I'm just going to be focusing on the three common wing shapes we see in raptors, which are passive soaring wings, high speed wings, and elliptical wings. First, let's look at soaring wings, also known as slotted high lift wings. There is actually another wing shape adapted to soaring called dynamic or active soaring wings that birds like albatross have. The birds we see at the Ojai Raptor Center that have these slotted high lift or passive soaring wings are eagles, vultures, and most hawks. See how all of the birds in this circle have broad wings, and it almost looks like the tips of their wings are outstretched fingertips? So if you watch Dr. Lewis's segment, you know that birds do have fingers, but that's not what you're seeing on these birds in this photo. What these birds' wings have are primaries with defined slots. When I say primaries, I'm referring to the first set of feathers on the most distal part of the wing furthest away from the bird's body. The amount of primaries a wing will have will depend on the species and what kind of specialized flight they have. Now, if we turn over any of these slotted high lift or passive soaring wings, what we will see how they have defined slots? That's what's giving that fingertip look appearance. And if you look closely at these primaries, it almost looks like someone took a scissor and cut slits into the leading edge of those primary feathers. You can see that this red-tailed hawk wing has the same things on its primaries. See those slots right there? So what the slots do for birds in flight is it decreases drag and increases lift, which allows soaring birds to catch rising vertical columns of hot air called thermal currents, which allows them to soar for really long periods of time without ever flapping their wings or expending much energy at all. Pilots have reported seeing turkey vultures fly at altitudes of 20,000 feet high. And they can sustain high elevations while soaring and not flapping their wings for hours at a time. Migrating raptors that do have passive soaring wings usually rely on thermal currents for the majority of their journey. So behind me is currently the largest flight in all of California for raptors in rehabilitation. This is the last flight that we put vultures, eagles, and hawks in before they get released back to the wild. And we can usually assess the strength and their flight capabilities of these species with this kind of wing just fine in this flight, unlike bird patients with the next wing shape. These are high-speed wings. Falcons have high-speed wings. See how all of these wing shapes don't have slotted primaries, but instead are long with pointed wingtips? No wing shape is aerodynamically faster than this. Peregrine falcons primarily hunt other birds on the wing, meaning while in flight. And they do this by gaining very high altitudes and then dive bombing their prey in what's called a stoop. Peregrine falcons have been recorded at flying up to 240 miles per hour while in a stoop diving for prey. Falcons typically require a lot more energy and they flap their wings more than the buteos, the vultures, and the eagles that we showed in the last wing shape group. I do want to note that falcons are capable of soaring even on thermals without flapping their wings for long periods. They're just not as reliant on these specific kinds of currents. Because of the unique hunting strategy of peregrine falcons, we simply cannot test their flight capabilities and if they're going to be successful in the wild post-injury in this flight, the Freedom Flight. So what we'll often do with peregrine falcons is we will team them up with licensed master falconers that we trust to assess their flight before they're released back to the wild. Owls have elliptical wings that are broad, but they have rounded tips. The large surface area of the wing relative to the size and weight of the owl's body, which is referred to as low wing loading, helps to keep owls buoyant and able to glide easily for long periods without too much flapping, similar to the passive soaring wing shape. But unlike eagles, vultures, and hawks, owls don't usually fly very high or very fast. However, owls do have another advantage that those other birds do not. So really quick, going back to our turkey vulture wing, if you look at the edge of the primary, you'll notice that they're all smooth, right? Okay, and that's true for all of our diurnal birds. Now, if you look at the leading edge of the owl wing, see how the owl primaries have this frayed edge? I'm going to show you a barn owl wing also has it. So all nocturnal birds will have this feature. See, the barn owl feather also has that frayed or serrated edge. Owl wings are super soft. They're almost like velvety. And what this adaptation does is we like to say that owls give up speed for silence. So they're not very fast flyers and they fly pretty low. But what those soft frayed feathers will do is it muffles the sound as they flap their wings. As you can see, a lot of consideration goes into creating treatment plans for each one of our patients, not just their individual story and injury, but also their species natural history, their flight and hunting techniques. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new that you found interesting. And this Giving Tuesday, please consider donating to the Ojai Raptor Center so we can continue to give raptors back their flight and educating our human community about what makes these birds so awesome and worth saving.